Hi, and welcome to our very first online webinar for future trainee solicitors. Thank you for joining us today. It means that you're on the journey to qualifying. Hopefully the information in this session today with our current trainee solicitors is of use. If you do have any questions that we haven't covered, or if you'd like to know any more information, please do get in touch with any one of us on screen today, or Laura in our HR team. So by way of a brief introduction, we have in our webinar today Charlotte, Anna and Dylan, who are trainees in various departments, but I'll hand over them to introduce themselves. My name's Harriet Gardner, and I'm a solicitor at Wake Smith Solicitors in the employment team. So I have significant experience in working with trainee solicitors. I've been at Wake Smith for just over a year now, and can testify to anything that our trainees say on today's session. So over to you, Dylan.
Thank you. So my name's Dylan. I am a second year trainee at Wake Smith. I'm currently in my third seat in the wills and probate team. I started at Wake Smith in January 2021 as a paralegal in the medical negligence team. I progressed through my role assisting with many different high value and complex clinical negligence claims. I began my legal practice course shortly after starting at Wake Smith, and then applied for my training contract internally, which I was successful for, and I started in September 2023. My first two seats were, so my first seat was in employment law and litigation. My second seat was in commercial property, and as I said, I'm now in the wills and probate team and looking forward to working towards qualification in September next year. So just a bit about Wake Smith. So Wake Smith is a multi-service law firm based in Sheffield city centre. We have experts that practice in all different practice areas. Just to name a few examples: clinical negligence, employment law, commercial property, company commercial, property litigation. Wake Smith has a strong connection with the local Sheffield community. We have connections with the local universities, and we have personal and business clients nationwide. Wake Smith has a very strong people culture, and I would say personally myself and everyone is supported all through their careers, from the start of their role through career progression with different training programs and regimes. There's a number of different committees that you can get involved with outside of work, such as the charity board, where we have a different charity every year, and we help organise different charity events to raise as much money as we can. And there was also a new and upcoming group called the Wake Smith Link Group, which is a networking group for professionals across Sheffield. So there's plenty of different things that you can get involved with here at Wake Smith. Yeah, so over to Charlotte to discuss what you can expect as a trainee at Wake Smith.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte. I'm also a second year trainee here at Wake Smith Solicitors. So I've just moved into my third seat. My previous seats being in commercial property and clinical negligence, and I've just moved in to the company commercial team. In terms of kind of day-to-day life as a trainee, Wake Smith place a lot of emphasis on giving trainees a primary fee earning role. We get kind of stuck in on a wide variety of work, and the fee earners that we support are really keen to get us involved in sort of the nitty-gritty of all of the files. So just kind of as an example of the type of work that we do get involved in, during my commercial property seat, I was heavily involved in taking instructions and new inquiries from clients and providing quotations for the works, reviewing and drafting documents, helping in running transactions and completing kind of sales and leases of properties. In terms of the clinical negligence seat, again, that was very similar in terms of I took new inquiries. I assisted in reviewing and sorting medical records and helping advising on prospects of success in clinical negligence claims. and also engaged in expert in council instructions and attending council conferences. So you do get a really wide variety of work at Wake Smith, which I think is really invaluable on a training contract, because it sets you up kind of in the best stead for qualifying. In terms of how our seats are structured, as Dylan said, we are a multi-service law firm, and we generally do offer training contract seats in all of our departments, whether that be personal or business legal services that you're interested in. More often than not, you will be able to get seats across both, and kind of expand your knowledge and your experience to help you decide which area it is that you want to qualify into. So our seat rotations are every September and March. So it's just a typical style training contract in that you will undertake 4 seats, each of 6 months in duration, across both business and personal legal services. In terms of kind of outside our fee earning work, Wake Smith do place a lot of emphasis on us getting involved in kind of extracurricular activities. So as Dylan touched on before, we have the new Wake Smith Link networking group, which is kind of a new up and running group for professionals to help us kind of meet new professionals across the city, as well as getting to know our own colleagues more in a more social setting. We also have a lot of involvement in the Sheffield and District Law Society, the Sheffield Junior Law Division events, as well as attending chamber events. And Wake Smith also kind of attend other networking events such as the Sheffield Business Awards, wine tasting events, and we also attend events through our Charity of the Year, which this year is Cavendish Cancer Care. And as Dylan also touched on as well, we have various different committees at Wake Smith, one being the charity board and the wellbeing committee. So it's really encouraged that trainees get involved in kind of those extracurricular activities as well, beyond fee earning, to kind of broaden your kind of experiences, and just get involved in kind of planning events and getting involved in the fun side of law outside of just kind of your day-to-day work. I'll pass on to Anna now.
Hello, my name's Anna, and I'm also a second year trainee. I'm a bit different to the other trainees in that this is a career change for me. So I don't know whether you've spotted I'm a bit older than the others. But the reason why it's important to share our diverse experiences is because they are all slightly different, but we are all supported in the same way. So the firm, as Dylan mentioned, there's about 90 of us here. Which isn't massive, but it's not tiny either. So it's just the right size to get the personal touch in your training. And they really do try and cater it to what you want. And if you don't know what you want to do, then that's fine, because there's a lot of people with a lot of experience that can lend you their wisdom and help guide you on your way. So every seat, so you'll have 4 seats, and during each seat you'll have training reviews with the training principal. And what it is they'll just be checking on your progress. You'll keep a diary throughout your seat, and just to see if anything's lacking, if you want to do any more of a certain thing, anything that you find challenging. And they work with you to make sure your training contract or your training experience is beneficial to you. But it's not just the training principals. So there's 3 of us trainees at the minute, and we really support each other. But everybody throughout the firm is so approachable. You might find some firms you can't approach a director. They're in a separate office. Everything is open plan here. You can walk up to anybody and they'll always have time to speak to you, even if you're having a bad day, anything like that. So it's such a lovely environment to work, and that's talking from experience. I've worked in a lot of places, and it is truly a really nice place to work. So if you're lucky enough to know what you want to do, if you make that known, they'll try their best to make it happen. if you don't know, again, it really doesn't matter. A lot of people don't know what they want to do, even towards the end of their training contract. And the opportunities here to speak to people and utilize the people here are really great, and they'll really push you to go do extra training if you want to do seminars, webinars, any networking event, anything outside of the office that you feel passionate about, they'll encourage you to do. So you'll have time to do that as well. That's everything from me.
Thank you, everyone, for that insight. To finish off, we've highlighted a couple of key questions that people tend to ask when they're going through their training applications. So, Charlotte, could you take the first question, please, if you're all right with that? So, why do you think that people should apply for Wake Smith training rather than with any other law firms?
Yeah, thanks, Harriet. I mean, I think obviously we've all kind of touched on why Wake Smith is a great firm to work for in kind of what we've previously said in the webinar. But I think to kind of summarize the main points for why Wake Smith is a good firm to apply for in terms of your training contract is you're guaranteed to have teams that will support you in everything that you do, right up to director level. Absolutely everybody in the firm is approachable. I wouldn't hesitate in approaching any member of any of the teams with questions, which I think is really important as a trainee, because there's nothing worse than being sat there and struggling and feeling like you can't approach anyone for questions. So I think that makes a massive difference. I think as well, you are really appreciated for the work that you do, and you're put to good use in the teams as well. You're given kind of real responsibilities, and you get involved in the thick of files as well, which I think is really good. It gives you some great experience and sets you up for deciding which area it is that you want to qualify into, and gives you that great all-round experience, so that you can make the best decision for you possible when it comes to qualifying. And I think as well, the firm places a lot of emphasis on work-life balance. It's kind of appreciated in the firm that you come and you do your work and you do it within your hours, and as long as you do the work that needs doing, you go home at 5 o'clock and you have your social life in your evenings, and there's a lot of emphasis on having that break between kind of your work and your social life, which I think is really important. And again, a big emphasis on attending networking events as well, which I think, again, is a great thing as trainees, to kind of get your face out there and build your connections.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you. And you know what? I agree. I think the biggest thing for me is the relationships that you build. And I think Wake Smith really does encourage people to build those relationships. Like, I don't know about you, but I've actually quite enjoyed putting this together this afternoon. I have had a bit of fun. So yeah, I think you don't often get that, do you? You know, we all come across each other day to day, and we've built, really good relationships. And I have as well with the people in the firm. So I think it's a great place from that point of view.
Yeah.
So, picking up on the next question. So, one of the biggest things that we get asked is what are the top tips for training contract applications? So, Dylan, what would you recommend?
Thanks, Harriet. So in regards to, I mean, there's many tips that we could probably give you for training contract applications. But I would probably say one of the top ones would be make sure you tailor your application. Make sure you're doing your research about the firm that you're applying for. Don't just be copying and pasting your applications. Demonstrate what you know about the firm from your own research, and how the firm's been operating, what sort of activities you've been getting involved in. This could be as simple as just reviewing the website, LinkedIn pages, etc., just to see kind of what the firm's doing, but also to see kind of what you know about the firm and their background, what areas they practice in, just to show that you would be a good fit for the firm. Obviously, if a firm deals with, I don't know, business areas and you want to practice in criminal, then that's obviously not going to be the fit for you. So make sure that you're doing your research on the firm and it actually does what you want to. My second tip would be to stand out, and that's a hard tip, but draw on experiences and any transferable skills that you have been able to achieve from that. They don't have to be experiences from law. It can be experiences from all different parts of your life, but being able to show what skills you've learned from that, or what skills you've been able to acquire from that, it is really helpful for you. Anything that you have done, there'll be something that you can kind of transfer into your role as a trainee. So I would definitely say make sure that your application stands out from the rest. And my final tip would go without saying, but the basics of your application, make sure you're reviewing your applications, as I said, not just copy and pasting, checking your spelling and grammar, making sure that everything's set out successfully. Succinctly, sorry, as once someone's read your application, they obviously can't speak to you while they're reading your application, so you need to make the best impression that you can.
Thanks, Dylan. Oh, that's my favourite, attention to detail. And yeah, also be a person, really, isn't it? We're people. We want to read applications where people are people and get to know them, because it's important if someone's going to fit in the firm that they are a person and not ultimately a robot who's copied and pasted everything across. So yeah. Then the next question is, I think it's quite an easy one. What departments will you be in? Now, say people applying for their training here will no doubt have done their research to what departments we have. But Charlotte, do you want to explain sort of in summary what the type of departments that we have?
Yeah. So like we say, we're a multi-service law firm, so we practice across both personal and business legal services, and generally we are able, more often than not, to offer seats across all of our departments. So as Harriet said, if you've done your research into our firm, you'll know what departments we offer and what we have. So, just as an example, we've got employment law, litigation, commercial property, private client, clinical negligence, to name but a few. So as Anna drew on earlier in the webinar, your training principal will speak to you to kind of discuss whether you have any preferences, and we'll try and kind of accommodate those wherever possible. But generally, we are able to kind of offer seats across all of our departments, which is great for giving you, a wide range of experience to set you up for making your decision as to where you want to qualify into.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you. One thing I will just add as well is that different law firms will often call the same department by a different name. So obviously, private client might also be known as wills and probate, or there are different phrases for what the department does. So obviously do bear that in mind when you are looking into the different departments that we offer, and do a little bit of reading about what actually that department does, because even though we might offer, for example, litigation, we specialise in particular kinds of litigation, so that might help when you're carrying out your research for the application. And then finally, if it's all right, Dylan, how would you describe the company culture? I think you've already touched on that, but just to recap, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Harriet. I think, as you say, we've all touched on the culture of the firm, as we've all feel very supported throughout our training contracts. I think there's a very strong people culture at Wake Smith, and everyone kind of collaborates together, which I've seen, especially from my training contract, how the different teams work together. When I was in clinical negligence, they used to kind of liaise with the private client team if there's any deceased clients. There's plenty of liaison between the company commercial team and commercial property in terms of properties selling at the same time of businesses. So there's a lot of working together between the team. I think, as we've all said as well, we do feel supported by every kind of person in the firm, whether they're at a junior level or whether they're up to director level. There's never kind of a problem in asking questions, and we're actually encouraged to ask questions rather than kind of just sit and feel like we're struggling or anything like that. So yeah, I would definitely say the support is one of the big things, and working together, definitely.
Thanks, Dylan. So if you'd like to apply for training at Wake Smith, our application process is now open until the 30th of November. If you would like to consider applying for a training process with us, then please do review our website. We have significant information on there about the different departments, how to apply, and the application itself. Or you could contact us if you do have any questions, and then you can submit the application to recruitment@wake-smith.com along with a CV and a covering letter. I must reiterate though, if you do have any questions, everybody here is an open book. You can contact any of us, or you can contact HR as well. All of the details are on our website. Thank you everyone for listening, and good luck with your applications.